All right, let's welcome in our guest, Bradley Beal. Brad, what's up, man?
Thanks for having me, JD. Pleasure.
Let's start with the latest sort of NBA news. And so over the weekend, it came out from Shams and Woj and Mark Stein that the Board of Governors met, and they're proposing a December 22nd start, a shortened season, 72 games. I would assume for a lot of guys that's a super quick turnaround and not what we expect, and not really what we've been told for the last couple months. You know, we all kind of expected, I think, February or March start date. What's your general reaction to getting going around Christmas?
Definitely surprised because I was under the impression, we wouldn't start till February, the earliest probably. And, looking at March probably as legit start date. But so I was definitely surprised by that. It definitely kind of changes my kind of routine and how I'm working out and approach the rest of the, winter and up into the season. So it's tough. I don't think a lot of guys are going to go for it because of the quick turnaround, especially guys who were, down in the bubble for 100+ days. I don't think they're going for it. But it definitely surprised me. But I think the monetary factor in it is what the Board of Governors are really looking at, and the money difference. So I think we definitely got to consider it. I would say so.
I would assume there's going to be advantages and disadvantages for certain players and certain teams. I looked this up. The last time you played was March 10th. The last time you played in an NBA game. Yeah. So I would imagine you're itching to go and you're ready to go. But for someone like LeBron, for him to, and I know he's Superman and he's defied all the entire aging curve so far, but I would assume to come back 2 months later, basically start camp, start a season, have a shortened season, cram 72 games in, and then have to make another deep run with the Lakers is going to be a huge challenge. That's one example, but I would assume there's a bunch of teams right now that are probably not excited about that start date.
100%, because you got a lot of guys who are banged up. Granted, a lot of the teams who, like in the East, like those guys like KD and Kyrie, they get to come back, and I'm sure they're ready to go. But a lot of guys who are down in the bubble, a lot of teams are banged up, and so they need time to be able to heal and get their proper rest time. So I see it from that standpoint. But again, like guys like me, I haven't played since March, so I'm definitely ready to go and get out there. But I understand from all sides, man. It's really tough, and I'm definitely interested to see how we vote on it. But to see that they want to start on the 22nd was definitely, I would say, blindsided for sure.
What do you guys think from like a team construction standpoint? Because with the draft, basically it's completely compressed the draft and free agency and trade potential and everything like that to a point where that's going to basically be in the span of a couple weeks, versus having 3 months to do it.
I feel like a lot of it becomes rushed. Like you got to start, like granted you have the draft November 18th. So they're saying free agency won't start no later than December 1st. So, you're looking at a month realistically of free agency. So that's guys got to make decisions. Guys got to get living situations together. Like that's going to be a hassle in a way, So, now that you said that, I don't think that's 22nd is going to sit.
It's eerily similar in terms of the timeline. Obviously not the circumstances, but the timeline is very similar to the lockout year, which was before you were in the NBA. So They had the draft because we didn't get locked out till July 1. So they had the draft at the end of June. We get locked out July 1. And then it was right around Thanksgiving that they were like, all right, we're going to have a season. It's going to start Christmas. That year was 66 games, I think. And there was like a 2-week period to get free agency done and get guys sorted. Then we had a short training camp. And that's the thing too. My question is what are we going to do about a preseason and a training camp? Is it going to be 2 weeks? Are we going to play any exhibition games? Obviously with the risk of COVID and travel, it just seems like, I don't know. It just seems crazy. There's a lot of details that are missing.
100%, but I think I feel like it's forced. We're kind of forcing it. We want to get 70. That 70 number is very crucial to us. So, we want to get 70 in because of the TV deal. But You know, you got to factor in health. You got to factor in travel, training camp. Like, I think they want to shorten the exhibition season anyway. I don't think they want 5 games, 4 games. I don't think they want those long, extensive of preseason anymore. Just to keep the injuries down and just keep bodies fresh, I would assume. And then the fact that we have the play-in games now, I think intrigues people, intrigues fans, and gets teams more of opportunities. Kind of have a fresh whole year, you know, because you're adding more games, but then again you're shortening it too. So,
what were some of your takeaways, just from the bubble overall, from the outside looking in?
One, my biggest happy moment was the fact that everyone was safe. You know, no one tested positive. You know, they were able to find a lucrative way to keep everyone safe, play games, practice, eat, do everything they need to do to the best of their abilities. You know, and I commend them for that, because that's a mental challenge being down there for that long, eating the same food, seeing the same people. Like that's a mental challenge. So I think in that sense, just trying to create the best environment possible, I think that was pretty cool. And then 2, I think what I love is I think it upped the level of play. I think not having fans kind of upped the level of play, because JJ, you know, like we're hoopers. You know, we go hoop no matter where it is. We were used to hooping in, you know, no fans in gyms. You played in Cameron Indoor, which holds about 2,000 people anyway. So, you know, it's we're used to playing in small environments, no fans. So, you know, I think it really brought out, you know, who can really hoop, you know, who's really locked in, who's really, you know, dedicated to winning. So I think it was really cool. I wish I would have went down, but I feel like the setup and the competition was everything, I think, above expected, I would say.
What was that like for you to not be in the bubble? Your team was playing. You opted out because of an injury that you were battling. I would imagine it was especially hard at times during the playoffs. You're someone that's had a bunch of personal success in the playoffs. Even as a young player, you know, as like a second and third year guy, you had 38 points in Game 7 against the Celtics a few years ago. So everybody's sort of watching the playoffs. Everybody's talking about all these guys, and you're sitting at home and not getting to experience that.
It sucked. It definitely did. And I honestly made the decision the day that the team left to have to stay back, because I wanted to go down there. But I knew if I went down there, I would end up playing, and that wouldn't have been the best situation for me. You know, we're players, we're hoopers. You're around hoop all day, and that's all you have. You're going to throw yourself out there. And so I knew that wasn't what I needed long term. And so I just kind of just took it upon myself, made a selfish decision probably for once in my career, and decided to stay back. But it was definitely tough, because you're sitting and you watching a game and you're getting a different perspective. You know, but it was cool in a way, because it gave me that perspective to be able to share with the guys. You know, guys would hit me after the game. What do you see? What can I get better at? Because we have a young team. You know, we have a young team with guys who are really working and who have promise, you know, ahead of them. So it was definitely cool to be able to be a vet in that fashion, to be able to share my knowledge and experience and perspective, you know, away from it. But it was definitely still tough, not physically being there, because I know that they feed off of that. You know, I know they feed off my energy and leadership. So it was that part was definitely tougher.
I kind of laughed to myself. Tommy's good friends with Vic, with Oladipo, and he came down and he was like, I'm not going to play. I'm not sure if I'm going to play. But like once we got down there and you realize like there was shit else to do. Like there was nothing else to do.
You can't sit there and not play.
You can't. You have to play. Like there was nothing. You're going to go nuts if you don't play. I'm like, this guy's definitely hooping. He's playing.
He gonna hoop. And sure enough, he got his ass out there. So.
That's interesting, though, that you had the self-awareness to recognize, like, it's not in my best interest to go down there because I know I will put myself at risk by playing.
I've done it in the regular season. You know, you get hurt, you know, you got a bad ankle, you got a little knick-knack, and you ain't supposed to be out there. And you're like, well, maybe I can give it a go. Or, you know, maybe I feel all right in warm-ups. You know, maybe I'll give it a go. But you're not really supposed to be out there. So I knew that if I surrounded myself in an environment with nothing but basketball, you're going to hoop. Whether it's practice, whether it's pick up one-on-one off the court, and then literally games, you're going to get out there on that floor. So
I literally did that this year. I had like a very minor hamstring tweak in like early January. and I missed 2 games. I only missed 2 games. First game back, I tweaked it again. The next game, I tweaked it again. I just kept playing through it. I come back from All-Star break. I tweak it again. So now I've tweaked it 4 times. I've only missed those 2 games. I just keep playing through it. And then finally it just went. And I had to miss 3 weeks. But like, you're right. You're around the team. Like you gotta keep me out of the gym. You gotta push me away. Otherwise, if you give me a chance to make a decision for myself, I'm probably, if I feel like I can play, I'm gonna play, even though it's not necessarily the right thing to do.
Yeah.
Tommy, it's crazy to me with the season that Brad had that he was not an all-star, and I'm not knocking anyone that made an all-NBA team, but I went and looked at the list today, and I want to get your opinion on this because there's not a lot of traditional shooting guards anymore. Mm-hmm. But if you go through the league, there's not a shooting guard in the NBA this season that had a better year than you. Like I would argue that you had the best year of any sort of traditional shooting guard in the NBA, and you weren't an all-star, and you weren't on all of the all NBA teams. It's wild to me.
Yeah, we don't do. It's tough. Our criteria changes every year, every couple years. So it's now guards and forwards and centers, and so you got guys who are 7 feet are guards or forwards, and it's like, all right. So it knocks me out, automatically. You got Bron as a guard. I mean, you're not going to argue that. And you got who was it? Ben Simmons and I think other guys who are just 6'9". They're listed as guards. So it's tough. That we changed the criteria of it, of our positions. But I don't know, man. It's definitely motivational moving forward. But it definitely sucks knowing that I feel like I had a really good year. And I mean, I had career numbers in a few categories as well. And it's tough to hear that, people are like, yeah, you had a better year than last year. And it's like, well, damn, I was an all-star last year and borderline all NBA. So what's the difference? So it's tough, but you keep pushing.
Do the snubs hurt? I mean, you just said they're motivational, but do they hurt at all? I mean, you've already been an all-star. You've already done that. You've already checked that box.
I would say the one this year hurt for sure. All NBA, I kind of expected. So it was like, that one didn't hurt as much. So when All-Star, I was definitely surprised by that. But then again, especially when the players all voted for me to start in the game. So it's like, when you look at it, it's like, all right, you got the fan votes, you got the media votes, and it's like, all right, it's a popularity contest, and I'm not going to win that game ever. So,
JJ, I was going to ask you this. With Brad sitting here, like if you were to poll players, if you were to poll the whole league, and you're like, you need somebody to get a bucket at the end of the game, at the end of the half, the end of the quarter, whatever it is, he's got to be in that top whatever 5, 6. Based off basically, since you've come into the league, you've been in that place. But to JJ's point earlier, you've done it in the playoffs, you've done it in the last 2 minutes of games, you've done it at every place. And so, do you like? It's a weird question for you to answer, Brad. But like JJ, do you feel like the players look at something like that and you're like, this is bullshit that a guy like this is not honored?
Well, we've sort of touched on this before, and I don't want to belabor this point, but we talked a ton about the all defensive team and where there's a disconnect between who's getting voted on these teams and who players view as the best defenders and the most valuable defenders.
Yeah.
And so I think there at times is a disconnect. To your point about the popularity contest, yes. I mean, certain guys in the top 10 of fan voting are not in the top 30 at their position. Like it's, you know what I mean? But they're on the Lakers. I'm going to throw Alex Caruso under the bus a little bit, but they're on the Lakers. Right. You know what I mean? So that's one thing. But I do think we the criteria and how we view players sort of evolves, and then you also always have to factor in winning. And to that degree, I think that probably is sort of what hurts you the most this year.
Of course. Always. And that's why I kind of like, it didn't hurt as much because I look at it as like, you got to win. I mean, It's plain and simple. All these other guys are in the playoffs or have a chance to win a championship, and granted, yeah, you had a great year, but you guys have won, 28, 29 games. So, I mean, it's like it's in a way, it's like, okay, you're just getting numbers, So you just you gotta turn those into wins and make those numbers mean something.
So one of the sort of important questions that I wanted to ask you, I was thinking about your Wizards team, and you and John have played together, and you've been an incredible duo, of course. Who's the second best player you've played with? Like, I went through every roster of yours, and look, I'm not saying you're playing with bad players at all, but like in terms of a career, it's obviously Paul Pierce, but he was at the down end of his career.
Right.
After John, it's like, who is the next best player you played with?
Man, it's tough because I've probably had over 50 to 100 teammates. That's bad, huh?
I don't know if maybe it was last year, the year before. One of them, I looked at the roster, I was like, "Holy shit!" There's like 27 guys on the roster this year.
One year I had 30 different teammates in 1 year. It was crazy. We traded a bunch of guys. Every deadline we hit a trade. But I would say that had a crazy impact. I'd say Gortat.
Yeah.
Gortat or Nene early on. Like, I played with Nene my first 2 years.
That's right.
And
Yeah,
that's when Nene
ends.
was still really good. Yeah.
Yeah.
But I'm not knocking these guys. And I'm sort of tying this into this conversation about individual recognition, individual awards, all-stars, all-NBA with team success. And
right.
From the outside looking in, I made a list of, like, obviously I love TA, so I love Trevor. Played Trevor, Otto Porter, Gortat, Nene, and I would throw Bogdanovich in there because I love him, and obviously he was there on a deadline trade. It wasn't there with you long, but that's probably the list.
Yeah,
and those weren't all at the same time. So
right.
I do think, and I'm not knocking the Wizards at all. My point more is that I don't think you've necessarily been in a great position to get the recognition that your peers think you deserve.
Right. Yeah. Understandable. Like, it's tough because our dynamic of our team it shifted, from when Randy Whitman ran it and Ernie Grunfeld was running the team to now when Shepard has it and Brooks took over. So, we were more or less inside out early on with Nene and Gortat and Nene and Okafor in the beginning, my first couple of years. And then it shifted to Nene and Gortat, and Nene left, and then it was Gortat and Keith and Otto. And so we eventually branched out to become more of a perimeter team. But you're right. I mean, I think just the history of our organization plays a part in it, like from all the BS back in the day, then not winning, kind of being always kind of looked at as a jokish organization. I think all that stuff kind of plays a factor into it, and then you not win on top of that. It all plays a factor into not getting the recognition. Teams won't even, give you the entertainment, won't even pay attention to it. So unless you win, unless you make, big statements. So I get why, for sure.
Your agent, Mark Bartelstein, is in my opinion, one of the best agents in all of sports, not just basketball. The decision to sign that extension last fall, it looks pretty good right now, by the way, with the way free agency
COVID,
might
right?
turn out. Yeah, the way free agency might turn out. But no, I think you're guaranteed for 2021, 2022, and then you got the player option in the summer of 2022. Walk me through that sort of process and that decision to stay with the Wizards and to sort of set yourself up for that long-term deal after year 10.
It was more or less do I want to have something built around me, and I had that opportunity to do it here, or do I want to kind of test the waters, and that's kind of what made me do so. But I signed my deal and kind of, structured it to where I still have some flexibility, because at the end of the day, I still want to win, and the organization has to show me that we want to win. I want to see what John's like as well. So we there's always going to be, hope in that direction, but you still want to be able to protect yourself and, kind of be selfish in that regard. And, how can I, create some type of flexibility for myself, if we aren't winning, if I do choose to get out. So that's why it was more or less a 2 year with 1-1 versus, the full 3 year. And so, and then on top of that, the all NBA kind of screwed me too. And then so the 10-year vet max as well. But, you just kind of trying to position myself, later down the line, with an organization that I have an opportunity to build around myself. But, at the same time, I want to win, and they know that, and they have to show that.
Tommy, I'm assuming you Googled Bradley Beal prior to this episode, right?
Yeah.
Did you happen to notice?
I think it would be irresponsible to not.
Yeah,
Yes, I did.
it'd be irresponsible. Did you happen to notice what the last 25 Google News articles was about? They were all about Bradley Beal trade rumors.
Well, there was that. There was that. The other thing I was gonna bring up later. It's that, and also the meme. The meme because they added into 2K. The meme has taken on the Bradley Beal face has taken on the life of its own. But we'll go to you JJ. You do we'll get to that later.
I just feel like, so if you Google your name right now, it's just trade rumors. There's literally 4 teams on the front page, 4 different teams on the front page. Rumor Bradley Beal, rumor Bradley Beal. And this is not new for you.
Right.
I mean, your name's always brought up. And who knows if your name's being brought up by the other teams that want you, because I feel like you're the type of player that could fit in anywhere and do what you do and be great anywhere. How much of that is a distraction in your day-to-day life? The reason I'm asking is when there's something on clutch points on IG, me to the Lakers, my dad will send me the link, and I'm like, that's not a real thing. But if it's happening every day, at some point I assume your family members are like, Brad, just call me when it's real.
Oh, 100%. It's more, it kind of freaks them out more than it does me, because they're like, okay, you're not talking to me, you're not saying anything, what's going on? So it's more okay, they think it's more or less real. And a lot of it, I mean, teams are trying. A lot of them are calling, a lot of them are inquiring and putting packages together and trying to see if they can get me. That's not a secret. They've been doing that for the last couple years. So in my view, it's I don't view it as a distraction. It's kind of a sign of respect and motivational too, to just keep doing what you're doing, keep playing hard, keep being the professional that you are, because people like that. People are gravitating towards you, so, understand what you have here, but understand that you're wanted elsewhere too. So just understanding your value and appreciating it.
I think as a player, I've never really been involved in trade rumors other than the one time I got traded, which was the last year of my deal in Orlando, my 7th year in Orlando, and knew I was going to be a free agent, and they were rebuilding. And, I told them I was open to staying, and there was no rush to trade me, and whatever. I had such a hard time compartmentalizing that during that month prior to the trade deadline. I don't know if it's my inability to deal with uncertainty, but it just bled into my life so much, and I wasn't. It felt like a cloud a little bit hanging over, and at times it affected me on the court. And by and large, it's never affected you on the court.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to, because I know this is where I am, and I feel like I have a good relationship with our organization and front office, and I feel like if they were to do anything, I feel like it would be communicated, or if I want out, it would be communicated. So we have that type of relationship, and we trust that. And, so when I'm playing and see those things, I don't let it bother me. I feel like early in my career, it probably would have, but I think now, just it's a place of just understanding your value, understanding your wanted, and especially by teams who want to win, teams who want to win championships. So, it's just understanding your value, and don't think I definitely notice it, and I take it to heart for sure. I don't just ignore those things.
I want to go back to a night in January of 2014, and honestly, this night helped my career so much. So I was playing in my first year with the Clippers, and you were playing, I think it was your second year with the Wizards. Yeah, 2013, 2014 was your second year. We played a January game at Staples Center, and you and I started, we went after it a little bit in the fourth quarter, but it was my first time guarding what I call the throw and go. Other people call it chase action. Mm-hmm. And I was like, holy so you and Nene, you do like a banana cut to the top of the key. You guys would be in a horns formation, and then the other big would clear out, and you and Nene would just play a two-man game. You'd throw the ball and then just go get it. And I was like, holy shit, this is so hard to guard. So I went to Blake and DJ, and I was like, yo, I'm going to start doing this with you. And now it's so prevalent throughout the league. But you were the first guy. You were the first guy that I saw doing it. Where'd you get that from?
What's crazy? So I remember the name of it, Box Power. It was one of them. It was always our go-to in the fourth. But it honestly it was something Randy Whitman drew up in Sam Cassell. Like, they were really adamant on just clearing out a side and letting me and Nene work at the end of games. Because of you couldn't go under any ball, any DHO, or I was going to shoot a mid-range jumper, pull up, or a little floater in the paint, or dump it to Nene. Or Nene would ball fake it a lot and just keep it and go to the hoop. So we would just kill on that. And I think we ran it in practice one time and ran it, and other team couldn't stop it. And then we ran it in the game. And it was like, okay, this is our go-to. We scored. That was like our highest scoring play, for sure. And it was our go-to in the fourth. But I think watching JJ, watching you come off your screens, watching Ray Allen, watching Rip, and seeing how you guys move without the ball, because that's all it is. It's moving without the ball. And I struggled with that at first, because I would get stagnant, just run to the corner, run the play. But moving without the ball, truly, especially if you're a shooter, there's nothing you can do, especially if you're behind. Like, we know that once you do the throw and go, it's over with. Like, you got to try to topside him, force him this way. Like, don't let him get to his left shoulder, or you might as well run back the other way. So it's just learning, what works for you, watching other guys and kind of stealing it and putting your own flavor on it.
What makes it so hard to guard is the tendency in basketball is, if your guy has the ball and he gives it up at the 3-point line, you relax. Or what do? You turn and look where he passed it. And the second you relax or turn, it's just gone. Go chase it. And now I was saying, I was watching this Kyrie video. Kyrie's got one of the best handles in the league. Kyrie does it. Kyrie and Al used to do it in Boston all the time. Kyrie does it, did it last year in Brooklyn, where he throws it to the big and he goes and gets it. And it's not like he needs the same, actions that I need to get my shot off. But it's because if you're willing to sort of move in that way, it's damn near impossible to guard. Tommy has no idea what we're talking about.
I'm just nodding. Brad, besides the stagnation, when you were coming into the league, what were some of the things in terms of the transition from Florida to DC that you sort of had to learn? Because you came in hot. I mean, you came in with a bang. You didn't really have, from the outside looking in, very much of a transition, but every player has their own sort of internal kind of struggle. So, what kind of stuff did you go through?
For me, it was getting my body used to the amount of games, the travel, the time, the physicality, because I was hurt in my first 4 years with stress reactions in my legs. And I feel like that's just my body maturing, just getting older, being used to being in the grown man league, the pounding, And a lot of it too was my workout regimens. Like I cut down the amount of times I worked out. Like I was a maniac. I would work out 2 or 3 times a day, lift, like go practice, go back to the gym, like just constantly on my body, on my body, on my body. And I was just tearing it down. And I eventually just got to the point to where no, when summer hits, season's over, I'm resting. I am literally not touching the ball for a month or two. I'm resting my body and then I'll pick it back up. And then I legitly gathered and grew that routine and found a comfortable one to where every summer, okay, I'm working out at this time. I'm finishing here right into camp. And that's been beneficial, but it's definitely a learning experience for me. But I would say the pounding, the timing, flights, all that, just getting my body used to the league.
You had like the stress reaction, the stress fracture in one or both of your legs. Is that right?
Yeah, so it was sick. So I had it in my fibulas. So the fibulas are the outside bones, right? And they're non-weight bearing. So you shouldn't get them in these bones. But it was my gait and how I was moving. My movements were wrong. My hips were off. Like, and so I literally had to get whole new gait analysis. Actually went down to Duke in their research lab and got my whole body checked out. Actually got dry needled for the first time, and I'm a firm believer in it now in my like recovery and things like that. And just really just looked at my body, how I was moving. Am I pushing putting more pressure on one side than the other? Am I really balanced? Do I favor one side or not? And that's what ended up being. So once I had a stress reaction on the right side, I would favor the left side because it hurt like hell, work on the inside. So put it on the other side, boom, stress reaction on this side. So it flip-flopped literally 2 times on each side. And ever since then, I think it was my 5th year, right as I signed my contract, I went on a totally different routine regimen. We hired a new PT guy, and I've been, knock on wood, great ever since. We picked up a great routine that's been phenomenal.
I would imagine too, if your gait's not correct and you're not moving correct and your hips are causing stress on your legs and you're overworking, it's like it's a double whammy. It's a double whammy.
It's a recipe for disaster. Like you're ready to crash. Like, so I'm happy that I had a good team around me that was like, okay. And even my trainer, Drew Hannon, like we literally had a heart to heart, like, okay, we gotta cut back, what we work on every summer, the amount of times we work out, the drills we actually do. Like we were doing probably some of the wildest stuff, pulling me with a pulley and tennis ball stuff, like shit I wouldn't do. I wouldn't dare do today. Like if you brought that equipment out, I would tell you to leave. Like it's like we eliminated all that type of stuff and just became more quality over quantity.
So what does the cutback look like then? Do you like at this stage of the off season where let's say we are 2 months out? Are you in the gym 6 days a week? Are you in the gym 5 days a week? Like how often are you on the court?
So I'll go 5 times a week. So I'll go 5 times a week in the gym, and then I'll go 3 times a week in the weight room. Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and then every day in the gym. Weekends off. So Saturday and Sunday off. But literally I'm only in the gym for an hour to hour 15 max. Like, and I go hard or I dive into exactly what I want to accomplish that day. And we get it done. But I feel like, or if I want to get more shots, that's all I'm doing at night. Like I'm not dribbling. I'm not doing any moves. Like it's straight catch and shoot, or it's straight free throws, or it's straight, form shooting, things like that. So I really cut it down a lot to where I'm only doing stuff that I do in the game. So I'm only doing DHOs. I'm only running pick and rolls. I'm only doing, catch and shoot curls. I'm only legitly doing stuff in the game. I don't just get work in and get work in.
That change in the workout routine comes with experience and understanding. All right, these are the things that I have to master, and then these are the things that I know I can get better at and maybe unlock. And I think, and I give you a ton of credit, and obviously some credit here to Drew as well for the programming, but you've unlocked a part of your game since you came into the league that not many people ever get to, where you're a 30-point per game scorer. This year you averaged a career high in assists. So, a lot of credit to you. One of the things I wanted to ask you about was the step back. And so when Luka hit the game-winning 3 on the Clippers in the bubble, you tweeted out, "Invest in a step back," which is one of the all-time great bubble tweets, by the way. So good. But I feel like that's something, the step back specifically, that has unlocked so much for so many guys, whether it's Luka, James, Harden, you, Dame even, that ability to shoot a step back 3, which is something that, like, we coming into the league as 23, 24, 25-year-olds, like, you did not shoot step back 3s. Yeah. Nobody was shooting. Nobody was even working on that.
Yeah. At all. But what's funny? I love the step back since I was in high school. Because I jump back a lot. Like, granted, I'm able to do it in different variations now. But in high school, my biggest thing was creating space. How can I create space? Like, I wasn't going to kill you off the dribble. I wasn't going to make you fall and nothing like that. I was going to be straight line, get you down the hill, and then just create some space. And I kind of still have that mentality today. And it's a matter of, like, now I can do it off either foot. I can do it off dribbling, or like if I'm just honestly coming off a curl, the refs won't call it travel, but I'll literally do it off of a curl, off a catch and shoot. And it's just that second. All you need is a second to see the hoop. All you need is a second to breathe, and that's all you need. And so that's always been my go-to, and it still is. And I think what makes it so dangerous is your ability to score at all 3 levels. So, like, once you're able to shoot threes, you can score mid-range, get to the basket. Guys don't know what you're going to do, and then once you get them leaning downhill, they're at your mercy at that point, and it's just a matter of technique from there and just, getting on balance, because that's all a step back is just making sure you got proper balance, because that's a tough ass shot to shoot.
I want to reiterate this point, and I know I've briefly talked about this before, but you brought something up just now in terms of shooting a step back off a catch, right? It sounds like, how is that possible? The key to good shooting, the key to being a good shooter, the key to being a good scorer, to me, comes down to one thing, and it's footwork. You have to have unbelievable footwork. And if you look at every good shooter and every good scorer, it's footwork. It's footwork. And what they're teaching you guys, I had this conversation with my basketball trainer the other day. Like, we were working on this, like, basically a version of the gather step out of pick and roll to get to the rim. Bro, I have trouble with it. But all these players now that are coming into the league, you guys have been taught this since you were like 14, 15 years old. Yeah. I'm 36. I'm trying to learn how to do this, at 36. And so it's the skill and the footwork of all these young guys, like Tyler Hero coming in. Like, I didn't have that shit when I was 19. No way.
Mm-hmm. Not at all. And that was something me and Drew looked at, when we were like, okay, how do we want to dissect our game? Like, we love D Wade, we love Ray Allen, we love Allen Iverson, and we love Jordan, we love Kobe. And those two are footwork kings, Jordan and Kobe. And so that's literally all Drew would have me watch. My reverse pivots, every pivot, it was just watching Mike, watching Kobe, everything, step backs, crossovers, AI on his crossovers, on his pullbacks, like seeing his angles, seeing, his footwork, seeing, how low does he get? Is he more lateral? Is he more, towards the hoop? And just being able to dissect those guys and put them all in kind of a feel of what I want was, it put me where I am today, and I would say also Paul Pierce was on our team. Watching him work on his step back every single day was it was amazing, because it's a quick one. He uses his body more than he uses his feet, right? Like, Paul has good footwork, but he's a big boy. So he uses his body, gets you off balance, and then he has his pump fake. So it's a lot of guys had a different feel, different spice to their ingredient. And And I've had the blessing to watch Paul, but just watching guys from afar, watching James as well, watching Luka, watching Synergy, watching these guys, you steal it, and you see how much space you're able to create. It makes the game that much easier, because if you score at all three of those levels, there's nothing that they can do.
Did you ever get a chance to work out with Kobe?
You know what's crazy? Phil Handy invited me to work out with Kobe last summer, and I couldn't because my second born was being born. And I was so pissed and upset that I couldn't go. But obviously I couldn't. I mean, my son, that's the biggest blessing ever. But as I look back on it now, Kobe's not with us. It's like, damn, I wish I would have had 5 minutes. I wish I would have just boom, boom, boom. But, it was amazing that he wanted that opportunity to work with me. And so in that sense, I take it as, okay, B, you gotta get on your grind and really get it together.
There's players now, like you're naming all these guys that you want to play like. There's players now that are like, I want to play like Bradley Beal. I want to play like Bradley Beal. Think about that. You're all those guys. By the way, I'm actually a little hurt. I'm actually a little hurt that you named all those players you wanted to play like, and you didn't name me. But that's another story.
But you know what, JJ, you will never. I'm telling you this now. You were one of the reasons I was going to go to Duke. That is no lie. Because I feel like your passion that you play with on the floor was just unmatched, and you were confident. You had a little cockiness, you had a little swag to you, but I mean, shit, nobody could stop you. And so I love that about you. And then my mom taught me how to shoot, and so she literally would make me watch you shoot. Like literally, your God hand is straight as hell, like mine. Hand is always picture perfect every single time. Right, elbow right up under the ball. Like she would make me literally sit there and watch you. She's like, watch JJ Redick, watch JJ Redick, watch Ray Allen. Like you two were my shooting coaches in a way. So I've never told you that, but here on your podcast, I'm telling you that I watched you a lot in college, and you were definitely one of my heroes growing up for sure. I will say that.
I didn't know this until recently, that Coach K, when he was recruiting you, compared you to me, which is so highly offensive to you now. but maybe it wasn't at the time.
At the time, I loved it because I was like, damn, like he thinks I can be JJ. Like that's dope. And Duke was my dream. You guys were my dream school. Like you guys were my dream school. And Coach K kills. He busts my balls every day to this day. Every time I see him. You should have been in a Duke uniform. You should have been in a Duke uniform. I can't even stand the sight of you. I can't stand to look at you. It's so funny every time I see him to this day. But I will say, bro, like your craft, your energy, your passion, the cutoff T-shirt under the jersey. Like I wore a cutoff T-shirt under the jersey. Like that was dope. I was a fan.
Tommy, why did this guy not end up at Duke? I'm so confused.
This is what I was about to ask.
Right? So you have to tell this. I'm over here spilling the beans.
So tell the story now.
I sent Jayson there. All right, I sent Jayson go there.
So we're gonna get to Jayson in 1 second. So you end up at Florida. How does that happen?
It was, it was tough. I looked at it from the standpoint of the amount of guards Duke had in the league, and I looked at the success of them. And at the time, this was when like Jay Williams had just got hurt, so I was like bummed by it. And then obviously JJ made it, but everybody else, it was kind of like it was a dead period, and then it was Kyrie, and then it was all the young guys after that. And so I was just like, I could fit into it, but I wasn't all the way there. And so what was tough for me, what drew me to Florida, was my relationship with Billy Donovan. And so I always felt like Billy kept it all the way 100 with me all the time. So like when he first recruited me, he's like, Brad, I'm not going to guarantee you're going to start. I'm not going to guarantee you're going to play a lot. I'm not even going to guarantee you, that you might have the freshman year that you think you're going to have. But you will get better every day. I will push you, and you will be a man. And I was like, that's it. That's all I need to hear. and then, I was sold on that. They just won 2 national championships at the time. I was in high school, early in high school. So they still had they had the juice at the time. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm going here. But it was a tough decision because it was Florida, Duke, and Kansas. And all 3 coaches were, I love them all 3 to death for sure.
Did when you got paid, did they put it in your shoe boxes? When you would get in the locker room?
I ask everybody this.
I'm just asking.
Billy told me, he's like, man, I'm not paying you. No, they didn't. They didn't trust and believe. It was a lot of money being thrown for sure. But I didn't take $1.
One day someone's gonna come on the show and just be like, "Yep."
I know it got into somebody's hands somehow. Maybe it wasn't the shoe boxes this time. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see.
So I wanted to bring up Jayson. We actually had him on a couple months ago, and he talked about your relationship a little bit. So we asked him this, and I can't remember what he said. So did you babysit him, or you were just family friends with him, or what was the
it was a mix of everything. It was a mix of everything. So my mom taught his mom in high school. Right. And so my mom also was the volleyball coach, the AD, the basketball coach. She was everything. So at the time, Jayson's mom was a senior. She had Jayson as a senior. So I was already a little young pup at the time. And so she would bring him to practice, and I would be at practice with my mom, and I would have to watch him while they practiced, or, at home, or we would bring him to the house and babysit sometimes. But as he grew older, we just kept our relationship, and he literally lived 5 minutes away from me. And so when I decided to go to Chaminade, a high school in St. Louis, he literally did the same thing. Like, his dad ended up taking a job at our rival school, and his dad was like, "You're going to come play for me." But he's like, "No, I want to go to school where Brad went." And so to me, that was pretty cool to be a big brother in that sense. And, I would pick him up for school, take him to school. He wouldn't leave home until I was done with practice because he was in middle school. I was in high school. So we just kind of developed this relationship. Then I was working with Drew. Then once I got to the league, Drew kind of had this thing like I wouldn't work out high school guys anymore. But I was like, no, you need to work out this dude because he's going to be the best thing to come out of here. Like, he was like, him? There's no way him. Right. So Jayson was like a little flimsy kid, but he was tall. He was tall for his size, had handle, and the rest was history from that. Drew gave him an opportunity. He's like, okay, I can work with him. And it's so crazy because everything that you were talking about, JJ, about footwork, about what guys are able to do, he was doing this in high school. So like, to see where he's able to, none of the stuff he's doing now surprises me. Like, sometimes I get disappointed because he should be doing a lot more. Like, because he's that talented, he's that skillful, like he has MVP talent in his blood. So our relationship is amazing.
You think that's Jayson's ceiling? Jayson could be a top 5 player.
Jayson
MVP.
can be the face of the league. Jayson can be the face of the league. In a lot of ways, I feel like they're trying to give him that. But he needs that. I think he needs a little bit more experience and maturity. But I think once he grasps that understanding that, the league can be his, he can run it. He can dominate it.
How do you think your games? Well, first of all, did you guys ever, because of the age difference, did you ever play together in any sort of, not even like a formal capacity, but like where you'd be going in a run together, or anything like that? A, and then B, like, how do you think your games would mesh together now if you were on the same team?
One, we've never played on the same team or against each other, besides in the NBA. I coached him in AAU. He played on my AAU team. We played for the same organization. I took it over in 2017, and so I was able to coach him for about 2 years. But we've never formally played. Like, we play in pickup together, or sometimes we'll play against each other. But yeah, we haven't done that like a pro-am. Like, we haven't done anything like that either. But I'm sure that'll come. How we would mesh together, I think it would be well, because our games are very, very similar. I think we absolutely do the same moves. I would love to be 6'9". I would say that, but I think he's a special talent, man. I think what he's able to do, his size and alone, like it's you can't teach that. It's just a simple. He doesn't see you and he's shooting over you. He just needs to simplify his game. I think, in my opinion, JJ, let me know if you're wrong. Watching Jayson, he has a lot of tough buckets. He makes a lot of buckets tough for himself. He's got a lot of it is one-on-one, and he's got to be able to get some easy ones, get some back doors, get some cuts, get some handoffs to the hoop, some downhill action. I feel like a lot of stuff is one-on-one, especially in the playoffs. They're going to load up on it. So that's what growth, and again, once you see that, and I think once he grasps that, he'll be able to dominate in all facets of the league.
All right, let's get to the draft. We are going to draft the best Halloween candy. And Tommy was just explaining to you that I take this very seriously. I know recently we've teased on the podcast and on social media that we're going to be dropping merch soon. And there may or may not be a T-shirt in the works referencing Tommy's horrible drafting skills. That's all I'm going to say. I'll tease it and leave it at that.
I'll be on the lookout for it.
It's just bad. It's just
Brad's
bad.
He's gonna be walking into a playoff game next year with a T-shirt shitting on my drafting skills.
All right, Tommy, explain just the format real quick.
Yeah, so Brad, we're snaking it. So you're first, I'm second, JJ's third and fourth, and back around. And obviously, whatever you pick, we can't pick, and vice versa. So you're up first.
Okay. Number one pick, I'm going sweet tarts.
Oof.
What?
Wow. Number one overall pick?
I can already see where this draft is going to go. I can already see it. I know if that's your number one pick, you and me, our flavor profile is not the same.
Sweet tarts.
I respect it. I respect it.
Sweet tarts. All right, let's go.
All right, number one, I'm taking off the board Twix. That's easy. I thought that was coming. I'm glad it lasted.
Hey, there's plenty of chocolate out there. There's plenty.
Sweet tarts.
We're good.
All right, JJ, you got two.
Here's a question that I have. Just so if we wanted to draft like a Halloween special edition, does that take the normal version of that off the board?
It depends.
Okay, so my first draft then is going to be Reese's Peanut Butter Pumpkins, right? But I think that should also eliminate Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
Reese's.
Yeah, I think so.
That's my
okay,
fave.
so Reese's Peanut Butter
That's
Pumpkins or Cups as my number one pick. My number two pick is actually going to be the Trolley Sour Bright Crawlers.
I'm not a sour guy. You can have those.
Yeah, you can have those. So was the pumpkin, what exactly is that? Is it shaped like a pumpkin?
Just it's a Reese's Peanut Butter Cup.
Shaped like a
pumpkin, yeah.
Okay. All right. That's a decent pick. The sour one, not so much.
Okay. That's fine.
Number two, I'm going dark chocolate Kit Kats.
You can have those.
Boom.
I think Kit Kat is a great choice. I don't necessarily know anyone that likes the dark chocolate over the milk chocolate with the Kit Kats.
It gives it a more precise taste, in my opinion. All right, Brad, you got two.
I'm gonna go the mini Snickers.
Good pick.
Yeah, great pick. And so it's back on me. And then we're gonna go. Ooh, this is a toss up. I love it, but Marshawn is my man, so we're gonna go to small Skittles as well. The little red packets of Skittles.
Yep.
You know those?
Yeah. Skittles in the third round is good value.
I mean, Skittles and Snickers back to back. Those could easily have been number one and number two. I'm not a Skittles guy myself, but I understand the appeal.
Yep.
Hey, you understand the value of what's out there. It's so much candy.
It's so much candy.
Hey, you jumped on the Reese's. You jumped.
All right. Third, I'm going. This might be a reach, but I'm going Sour Patch Kids. Specifically watermelon. but all Sour Patch Kids.
Can I ask you a question? Why don't you like the sour the sour, or what do they call it? Yeah, the Sour Bright crawlers. Why don't you like the crawlers but you like the kids? The crawlers, all they are just a longer kid.
I've never even had.
They're just a longer.
It's just a weird pick. Like, I'm sorry,
I think it's a different taste. I think the sour is a little.
Yeah,
the crawlers are just like.
I would also say I'm really leaning into this
face
Halloween theme here. I'm leaning into the Halloween.
I mean,
theme.
I honestly
The crawlers.
think I honestly think
pumpkins.
Crowlers in the second round might be a worse pick than Sweet Tarts number 1. To be honest with you,
You don't like sweet tarts? Y'all don't like sweet tarts?
Not in the top
For
not
Halloween
in the top 5.
candy. I love them for.
Okay,
top 5.
it's all. It's
I'm not going to.
personal preference.
I'm not going to go to. I mean, to Ralph's right now and go get sweet tarts. But for Halloween, I would love some sweet tarts. My brothers would fight over those damn things.
All right, JJ, you got 2.
All right. Maybe a reach here for me, but I do think it's, since Snickers and Twix and Kit Kat's off the board, I'm going to go with 100 grand candy bar. Those are fire.
No.
I wouldn't put that in the top 5.
No.
Not in the top 5.
No way.
It's
dude.
perpetually underrated. It's perpetually
Okay.
underrated.
I think we'll take your word for it.
We'll see what you guys draft after this. That's a chocolate candy bar, but I guarantee you it's better than anything. And don't fucking say Butterfinger, because Butterfinger's not good. Butterfingers are not a good candy bar.
They're horrible.
God. All
right. Wait, how has nobody picked M&Ms? I'm gonna go peanut M&Ms.
Ah, damn.
I was thinking I could get M&Ms late. See, I
next.
don't like peanut M&Ms though. Regular M&Ms, yes. Peanut
They grew on me as I
M&Ms.
got older.
They're too big. That's the issue. They're too bulky.
Okay.
All right. I'm gonna have my 4th pick. Haribo gummies. Gummy bears.
Okay.
Okay. All right. That's good.
Okay.
That's good. If you're into that sort of thing. All right. You got your last 2, Brad.
Last 2. Let's go. You win 100 grand.
JJ with 2 questionable picks.
I'm going Hershey Kiss. Ooh, that's clutch, ain't it, fellas? I know
That's
that
a
one
great
hurts.
pick. God, the 5th round.
Let me go Hershey Kiss, and then for the I gotta go sweet for this one. I'm going Starburst for the 5th pick. That's a hell of a draft, fellas.
Honestly, besides number 1, you probably beat us.
No, that's a great draft. That's a great draft. I threw you off with the sweet tarts. Like the sweet tarts.
That's a good draft. I have to hand it to you. All right.
You know what I found? Tommy? I
What?
found that you and I, when we have these drafts, we always have a couple that we reach on that are very preferential to us, and our guests come on and they just pick unimpeachable picks. You can't, no one's going to say, the Sweet Tarts, I agree, are a little questionable as the number 1 pick, but no one's going to say Snickers, Skittles, Hershey Kisses, and Starburst are not enjoyable candies to eat on Halloween. They're great picks.
I think Hershey Kisses was probably Brad's best pick, obviously with the value, but also Hershey Kisses is not on any of those lists of best Halloween candies, but it really is. It really is the most consistent. It could have been a number 1 pick.
It could have been number 1, a sleeper for sure.
All right.
Great draft, Beal.
My 5th one. I just want to say I want to ask you guys before I take my 5th pick. So my Halloween candy take is that candy corn is the worst candy ever made. And if we were doing a bottom 5 list, would be my number 1, but I'm curious what you guys think about it because we never talked about it on the show.
Well, let's talk about it after I make my 5th pick. How about that, guy?
Okay. All right. Looks like we're setting up for a little showdown. Okay, I'm rocking with Three Musketeers for my 5th. The mini ones.
I like Three Musketeers. I'm glad no one picked Butterfinger. I'm really
No, I don't like
happy about
Butterfinger
this.
at all.
So here's my thing with candy corn. So I'm tempted to take it with the pick because I think it is one of the best Halloween candies. You only ever eat candy corn on Halloween.
On Halloween, yeah.
As a kid, there's something about candy corn that it just makes you makes you think of Halloween. It makes you think of your childhood. You know what I mean? Having said that,
that doesn't mean it tastes good.
It doesn't. As an adult now, I can say that candy corn doesn't taste great. So I'm not going to pick candy corn. I want to keep the Halloween theme going because I don't think I've won this draft. So I'm just going to dive into the Halloween thing. So the Junior Mints make these Halloween spooky Junior Mints. So I'm going to pick Halloween spooky Junior Mint.
I like it. I can't even hate it. It's not a good pick, but I respect the effort of going all in.
Oh, man. You just
I
got
love
to dive in. By the way, Tommy, we may need to get shirts made that say "Great Draft, Beal." I don't know if you caught that. That was phenomenal. All right, that's Bradley. Awesome. Thank you for the time. Thanks for coming on. I'm glad your French Bulldog's okay. Appreciate you, and I hope to see you on the court soon, man.
Thanks, dude.
Fellas, thanks for having me. It was fun.
The Old Man and the Three is supported by the Winemaker Series, connecting wine lovers with independent winemakers from all over the world. Last week, we did a Zoom tasting with Tom Hind of Nathan Cantor Wines in the Russian River Valley. He's the winemaker for Yao Ming Wines, which are crazy expensive Napa Valley Cabernets. But Nathan Cantor is his family winery, where he makes very small quantities of his real passion, Pinot Noir. And this one is delicious.
Until now, this wine was only available to friends and family. But now you can score an allocation of this literally impossible to find wine in an offer that's exclusive to the Old Man and the Three listeners. Just text Nathan to 351-444-WINE. That's NATHAN to 351-444-9463.
This small allocation exclusively for the Old Man and the Three listeners is a limited offer and will sell out quickly. Text today and listeners pay the same as Winery Insiders for this collectible wine. Maximum 6 bottles per person. Just text Nathan to 351-444-WINE.